Okay, so I need you to grab the Scholastic News magazine from March 30th. This is our last lesson in this magazine. And the article is about the U.S. Census. It's on page 7 and it's called Count Me In. In January, government workers spread out across remote towns in Alaska. They arrived in small planes, then traveled over snow and ice by snowmobiles and even dog sleds. Why? They were there to kick off the 2020 U.S. Census, a nationwide count of all the people living in the country. The first people counted lived in a small fishing village named Tasuke Bay. For the rest of the country, the census begins this month, which is April. The U.S. Census Bureau will send questionnaires to every household to ask about the number of people who live there, their ages, races, and more. Read on to find out how the federal government uses that information to help make some big decisions. Now let's look at our sidebar. The U.S. Constitution requires the federal government to conduct a national census once every decade. A decade is how long? Not 20 years. Not 5 years. Okay, a decade is 10 years. And the first census took place in 1790. This is who was president in 1790. You guys recognize him? President George Washington, that's right. All right, next item. There are 3 ways to complete the census: by mail, internet, or phone. To try to ensure that no one gets left out, census workers will go door to door to collect answers from people who don't respond by April 1st. According to the last census, about 309 million people lived in the United States in 2010. Census data helps the U.S. government decide how and where to spend about $675 billion each year. That money is used to repair roads, build schools and hospitals, and more. Census results also determine the number of seats each state gets in the U.S. House of Representatives. That's our Congress. States with larger populations elect more representatives. I'll read that again. States with larger populations elect more representatives. What does that mean? That means that if a state has a larger population or more people in it, they have more people to represent their state. So at the bottom we have a question. According to the map and text, which state has the second largest population? Let's check our map. Texas has 36, Florida 27, New York 27, California 53. So California has the most, but they didn't ask us for the most, they asked for the second most. And that's going to be Texas with 36 representatives. All right, now let's go to our graph, our chart. A growing nation. The United States has changed a lot since the first census was taken in 1790. Today, more people live in the state of Kentucky than lived in the entire country back then. Here's a look at how our nation has grown. In 1790, the population was 4 million people in 13 states. The state with the most people was Virginia. The state with the least people was Delaware. And again, George Washington was president. In 1900, the population was 76 million in 45 states. New York had the most people. Nevada had the least people. The president was William McKinley. And in 2010, 10 years ago, the population of the United States was 309 million people in all 50 states, with California having the most people at 37 million and Wyoming having 564,000 people. The president then was Barack Obama. Number 1. In 2010, the U.S. population was about blank times as big as it was in 1790. All right, in 1790, our population was 4 million. And we want to see which one is blank times as big in 2010. We're trying to get to 309. So what I'm going to do is turn this into a math problem. I'm going to take 309 million from 2010. And I'm going to divide it by the 4 million that we had in 1790. And I know here that 4 can go into 30 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28. This is a simple division problem. 30 minus 28 is 2. Bring down the 9. And 4 goes into 29 7 times. 7 times 4 is 28 with a remainder of 1. So the answer to number 1 is about 77 times as big as it was in 1790. Number 2. Which state had the biggest population when William McKinley was president? That is a simple fact check. Let's go back and find William McKinley, and let's find the most populous state. And when William McKinley was president, the answer is New York. Number 2 is New York. All right. Now we want to write about it. Using information from page 7 and this chart, explain how this year's census results might affect residents of California and Wyoming differently. Okay, I'm going to call this one number 3. And we're going to indent our paragraph and start by restating the question. Let's see. Let's start with this year's census results might affect residents of California and Wyoming differently. And what I did there was take what they were asking me and just rewriting it as my introductory sentence. Now I just know how they're going to affect them differently. All right, so I know here that California has 37 million people and Wyoming has 564,000 people. So I can see clearly that California has more people. How does that affect them though? Let's go back and look in the text. Okay. Census data helps U.S. government decide how and where to spend money. Let's use that. Here's something else. Census results determine the number of seats each state gets in the House of Representatives. So our next sentence can say, each state's population can determine how much money they receive and how many representatives they have in Congress. Okay? Each state's population helps determine how much money it receives, as well as the number of representatives in Congress. All right, now I need to provide evidence. Let's get directly from here. The money is used to repair roads, okay? So, the government decides how to, divide about $675 billion to, and I'm going to get it straight from the sidebar, repair roads, build schools and hospitals, and more. And I put that in quotation marks because I got it directly from this sidebar, so I quoted that. Make sure you do that. Quotation marks. And then I want to go to another sentence that says, I can get this one directly from here. Let's see. The text also says, and let's copy that, census results also determine the number of seats. Each state gets in the U.S. House of Representatives. Now I know that looks long, but we've actually answered the question. We restated what they were asking us. We told how by giving money and representatives, and then we gave evidence dividing the money up between roads, schools, hospitals, and results determining the number of seats each state gets. So let's do a conclusion sentence. Let's see. In conclusion, and let's just restate what we said here. In conclusion, A states population which is recorded in the U.S. Census can affect its residents. Okay. And that is our paragraph. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.